And more politics now. We've been talking the past few weeks about the GOP's new love-hate relationship with big business, a fight that Senator Mitch McConnell picked with companies last month.
I found it completely discouraging to find a bunch of corporate CEOs getting in the middle of politics. My advice to the corporate CEOs of America is to stay out of politics. Don't pick sides in these big fights.
He did back off of those comments a little bit later. It looks, though, like the rift between big business and the GOP, though, is growing wider. Joining us now, founder and executive chair of the global independent investment banking advisory firm Evercore, Roger Altman. He was Deputy U.S. Treasury Secretary under former President Bill Clinton. And Roger, your latest piece in the Financial Times is titled "A Schism Has Opened Between U.S. Business and Republicans." And you write in part, quote, "It began last month when Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, and other large companies condemned a Republican-sponsored law that would restrict voting in Georgia. Republicans' bitter backlash to corporate criticism about these laws shows a deep misunderstanding of modern companies and what makes them tick. To claim, as some conservatives have, that it is nonsensical for companies to oppose the law as it does not affect them is incorrect. Nor is it true that by condemning it, companies have allied with the Democrats and thus acted against their own profit-making interests and shareholders. Why? The simple reason is that companies' employees and consumers have changed. The split between Republicans and business has been brewing for years as Donald Trump and his followers have changed the party. Unless the Republican Party can return to fact-based priorities like inclusion, its separation from the business community will only grow." How much, Joe, do they want to lose in this false sort of propping up of one guy and his insurrection?
It's really fascinating. And Roger, we look at what happened in Georgia with Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, these other big corporations. But you go back to January the 6th and all of the corporations, all of the lobbying groups, all of the people who were saying they could not support candidates that supported Donald Trump's insurrection. And you see this rift has been starting to take place and has widened for quite some time. Just like, and Georgia's a great place to highlight this because you look at the Atlanta suburbs that have always been traditionally Republican. They, like a lot of these corporations, are starting to break away from the madness of Donald Trump and his Republican Party.
Well, Joe, what's fascinating about this, I think, is two things. First, it shows how the Trump-dominated Republican Party has changed, and I would argue backed itself into a corner. And secondly, it shows, as I argued in the piece, that they don't understand how business and modern companies have changed. And you think of the history here. For decades and decades, the national Republican leadership and the U.S. business community, at least the leaders of the business community, were two peas in a pod. The business community saw the Republicans as standing for things like lower regulation, lower taxes, smaller government, and they identified with that, and they supported that. And I say in the piece that a couple of years ago, Pew did a study showing that of CEOs who donated to political campaigns, 62% of them donated to Republicans, only 19% to Democrats. So this is a very long-standing historical alignment, and the business community has been one of the pillars of support for the Republican Party. Now, Georgia passes its law. Texas is about to do the same thing, as you well know. It outrages, of course, for good reason, civil rights leaders and others. Major companies, starting with those in Georgia, like Delta Airlines and Coca-Cola, but now spreading very widely, have condemned the law. And that triggered the outburst, and it's ratcheting up day after day from McConnell, Rubio, just now Cruz, bitterly attacking the Republican business community. So now they're at war with each other. And the second thing it shows is that the Republicans don't get it in terms of how these companies work today. It is the millennial generation, those who are today 25 to 40 years old, who are the biggest sector of the U.S. population. They are 1/3 of the workforce in this country. They're about to be 2/3 of the workforce by 2030, just 2030. And they have much more active and progressive views on racial issues and other political issues than predecessor generations. They're 43% non-white. 52% of them, according to Pew, think that discrimination is the main reason blacks can't get ahead. And the point is, those employees would not accept these companies being silent on these new voting restrictions, let alone, God knows, supporting them. And these companies cannot afford to lose their employees as we're heading probably towards a labor shortage.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.